Okay, the question is how to become a trucker. How do you become a trucker? Step one, you really need to think about your situation. Are you needed at home? Can you be gone for weeks at a time and not cause a problem? Do you have enough money to be on the road for the first 3-4 weeks? Because depending on where you go, that might be the case. All right. So once you determine, yeah, I'm good. And look, if you're in a relationship, you need to take into account your significant other. That person ideally should be on board, because what happens is you have no idea what you're getting into. Undoubtedly, you're going to end up in a situation that you can't control and maybe unexplainable or a surprise at least, and different than what you told your significant other before you left, because they told you something different than what it is. And you might not be able to get home. So in other words, if your partner is understanding, it will help, because you can tell them this stuff in advance. They can watch this video and that'll help them understand, like, that ain't you. But if you have a spouse, a partner that is reasonable, that's understanding, that's open-minded, that, that listens and everything, then that's good. If you have one if you already got relationship problems, forget about it. If you're going to stay in that relationship, because it's not a good idea to be on the road to cut down on the arguments or the disharmony. And it's not a good idea to be on the road in spite of the disharmony and thinking it's going to get better. It won't. So, you need to figure out what you're going to do with that relationship before you worry about trucking. All right, I was just saying. So that's like 1 or 2 together. All right, so next you need to decide you need to see what trucking training is available in your area. You don't have to go in your area. Again, it probably depends on your situation. But the cheapest thing to do would probably be to go in your area. What you want to do is see if there's a community college close by that has a program, because that's going to be, generally speaking, that's going to be more thorough and more reasonably priced. But it's just that a community college may not have classes starting as frequently as a private school. And next is a private school. They're probably going to have classes much more frequently, but they're going to cost more money. See if one of those are close to you. If the community college is not close to you or doesn't offer the classes as soon as you would like to get involved. And the third way, now you might be able to get, hold up before we go to the third way, you might be able to get financial aid to get your CDLs. And you want to check workforce to see if they have a program. If you're not working or if you're lower income, you might be able to get it paid for. Now, if you don't want to spend any money, you can't get any money to pay for it, then there are free programs by some of the larger trucking companies especially, and that is an option. That's a way to get into it. The only thing with going that route is the amount you get paid is going to be probably $10,000 a year less, at least $10,000 a year less than if you went to a private school or the community college. And it probably costs you from $3,000 to $5,000-$6,000 at a community college. It probably costs you from $5,000 to $8,000, $9,000, maybe $10,000 in a private school. You will make up in what you earn. Not battery died. I have to get some more space on the drive. So I was saying, you can make up for what you pay for truck driving school in that first year by the increase in salary you will have to pay. So you might notice that you'll make up for the cost of truck driving school if you get your CDLs on your own without going to the free program. And you can go to any trucking company you want. So just keep that in mind. So let's say you got your CDLs on your own, you didn't go to the free program, now you got to choose a trucking company. And I always say, see if you can find a trucking company that has a terminal close to you, so that, well, at least have the terminal close to where you want to take home time, which doesn't actually have to be where you live or where you're from. That's one of the good things about trucking. You can go anywhere, you can be anywhere, you can travel if you go with a company that's over the road. So when choosing a company, what you want to think about is what your needs are. What do you want? Why did you get into trucking? And what I mean is, if you have a significant other, then you probably want to take your spouse with you, or partner with you, or significant other with you. So you want to ask the trucking companies, do they have a rider program? Because some allow you to take someone, some of them no. And different companies have different restrictions or requirements or whatever, or maybe it's just to stack dough, he's trying to pay off credit, build credit, that's your number one priority. Well, that's going to determine Some companies pay more than others. And you might think about, like, in order to get more pay, you have to get out of driving and specialize in reefer, flatbed. And then if you want to jump up from there, you want to get into heavy hauling. And so you want to go ahead on and get with a trucking company that has a heavy hauling division. I mean, that would just be smart. So that's why I said, choosing a trucking company, you got to think about the things that you want, what's important to you, what are your priorities. And then you will have a list of things to ask all of the trucking companies so that you can compare them apples to apples and not orange to orange or orange to apples. And you'll know really what you're choosing from. There is no perfect company. There's, all of them going to have some type of issue. And the thing about it is different drivers are going to have different experiences. One, because of a difference in attitude, a difference in expectations, a difference in their situation at home and how that jives or how that is affected by the trucking lifestyle. And the other thing is what dispatcher they end up with, what driver manager they end up with, where they end up driving. That's the other thing you need to consider. Like, where do you want to run? Do you want to run over the road? Do you prefer to go in certain areas? Do you prefer not to go in other areas? So some trucking companies only run east of the Mississippi. Some of them will run everywhere. Some of them run everywhere but northeast. Some of them run everywhere but northwest or north. And you got different territories that they'll run. And so insurance might be important. Maybe you got family and you really need to get insurance. Or some companies, usually the larger ones and the medium-sized ones, have great insurance. Some of them, not so much. And that's about it. If you got any questions, hit them in the comments or go to the website, lifeisastrucker.com. There's a tab there that says Ask a Trucker. Oh, also, I have forgot to say this. You really want to think about your record. You're driving, you're on the road. So if you have any serious offenses like reckless driving, excessive speeding, DUI, I don't even think you can get a truck driver job with a DUI less than a year old. But like 6 months, if you had any serious offenses, the trucking companies you're going to be able to go to are going to be very few. If it's within a year, then you'll find a trucking company if you have only one serious offense, whether it's criminal or driving. If you got more than that, forget about it. Yeah, it's just not going to be compatible because you're not going to make the requirements. Felons, different trucking companies will hire felons. There's a page on the website. I know Cargo will hire felons. There's actually a lot of them, but if you go to the website, lifeisastrucker.com, and there's a page that's talking about trucking companies that will hire felons. If you're on any drugs, a lot of people go through, they also Suboxone or whatever it's called. I don't know the right way to say it, but you can't get a truck driver job taking that stuff. And if you're on any drug that alters your mind or your functioning or your thinking, obviously you're not going to be able to get a truck driving job. Other medical conditions, you might be able to get an exemption. Like, I've even seen a guy get out the truck who's in a wheelchair and he's had some modifications done. He's driving, So just because whatever your medical condition is, it's not going to necessarily automatically stop you from being able to become a trucker. You just got to get, in some cases, an exemption. In other cases, just authorization from the doctor saying that they believe you can drive. All right, y'all, that's it. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you got. Or lifeisastrucker.com, Ask a Trucker. So how does dispatching work? On that question. How does dispatching work? Okay, it's different kind of for company drivers and owner-operators. For company drivers, they said, when you ask like that, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, company jobs. So typically in the morning, well, sometimes it could be in the morning, sometimes it could be in the evening. It all depends on where you're starting or what happened the night before. But let's say it's the very first day at work. You're getting in this truck going. And different companies operate really differently, but here's just an idea of how it goes and one better than that. Your driver manager or dispatcher says several loads or one load, depending on whether the company has forced dispatch or you can choose what load you want to take. And they send you the load and tell you where to pick it up at, tell you where to load. So they give you all the information. You'll see the mileage. Most cases, your pay is going to be cents per mile. If you can't take the load, let's say you didn't start yet today. You started yesterday and you didn't finish until midnight, and this is 8 o'clock in the morning. You're up. They done sent the message. Or they sent the message and woke you up. Well, you haven't had your 10 hours off. So in a case like that, you let them know, well, I don't have my clock to be able to take this load. So if you can't legally run a load, you let them know automatically right away at the gate. Don't take the load and say, try to figure out how. It ain't, if you don't have the hours, you don't have the hours. And don't assume because they gave it to you and that they supposed to know, they should know. But if they send it to you, I mean, things might have changed. I don't know. I'm not a company driver. I haven't been in a while. And I ain't even encountered that when I was a company driver, but I hear stories of people saying stuff like that. But like I said, if they try to make you run illegal in that way, then just refuse and keep a record of it, take a screenshot of that message on the board just in case. But to send you the load information, you go pick up the load, you're going to have your map, and you're probably going to have a GPS, and always leave early so you can get there on time. But you got to check and see how early can you arrive. Some places you can arrive hours early. Some places you can only arrive 15 minutes, 20, half an hour early, an hour early. You don't want to start your clock too far in advance. That keeps you from being able to run the miles you're supposed to run for that day. You start, let's say, if you get there 2 or 3 hours early, they take 2 or 3 hours to load you, and then you don't have enough time to get to where you're going, then that's a problem. So in a case like that, if it's 500, 600 miles, 700 miles, 500, 600 miles, then you know it's going to take your whole clock to get there, then you can't start so early. With all of these little details, and you'll have to fine-tune as you learn the logistics side of transportation, truck. But, you have your pickup, you go over there, you pick it up, you're going to plan your trip out or where you're going to stop. You got to stop after 8 hours. You might not know right now, but you can only drive 8 hours straight before you have to take a 30-minute break. So while you're there getting loaded or before you go over there, if you got time to spend, then you plan your trip out, you plan your route. That's part of planning your trip. You say, well, at 60 miles an hour, that's the number I always use, 60 miles an hour times 7, and it's 420 miles. So on that route, you're going to see where 420 miles is and find a truck stop in that area. They got directories to tell you where the truck stops are. Or you go 420 miles out. Look, don't get stressed out about none of this. You're going to figure it out as you go. But you can Google from where you pick up to, you can guess where 420 miles is. And if it's too far, then you can guess again shorter. And if it's too short, you can guess again that's further out. Narrow down where a truck stop is in the vicinity of the mileage that you can go in that 8 hours. So you're going to take a break. Sorry, the 7.5 hours, because you don't want to end up going past it trying to get to the truck stop. Let's say you have an accident, held up with lights on the back road or whatever. You want to have that cushion because you don't want to be stranded when the 8 hours come with you on the side of the road or something crazy, right? So this is called trip planning. They're going to teach you all of that in truck driver school. Well, okay, we picked up the load. Now we done planned our route. We on our way to the destination. Sometimes you're going to have 2-day trips. Sometimes you're going to have 3-day trips. Sometimes you're going to have a 1-day trip. If it's a 2-day trip, at the end of your day, then you probably got to do some check call or something like that. In the next morning, you got to do a check call. Where will you park? In most cases, well, that's why trip planning, route planning is important, so you'll have an idea where you want to be. If you get to a place, does all this need to be? This should be a separate video. I'll just figure maybe you might be curious about it. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's go. If you get to truck stop late evening during the week, it's a wrap. It's probably going to be full, but then it depends on where you are. And, it depends on what energy you send out there to the truck stop. If you say, hold me a spot, you get there, it's probably going to be a spot. I'm just messing. That's what I do. I don't expect you to do. And I really do be doing that sometimes. So it be working too. When I be serious about it, I don't know. It just works sometimes. So a lot of times I find somewhere to park. You'll learn this different place to park. Sometimes there's in industrial areas. Now, if you get really down to the wire with no options, there's usually a Walmart there. And I know you're going to see a lot of people saying Walmart won't let you park. I parked at Walmart's. I parked at Food Lions. I have parked at Harris Teeter, Sam's Club. Listen, these people get loads delivered. Trucks deliver the load. They don't know if you're delivering or not. Ain't nobody going to ask you. But that's not what I recommend you doing. I've done that. I don't recommend it. I got a little intuition now. Being out here so long, I can feel it out. And I still do it. I will go in there shopping. You always got to get something. and I'm asking to speak to the manager. When I speak to the manager, I'm going to say, I need somewhere to park overnight after I get through shopping. Do you mind if I stay there till early in the morning? I have never been told no, never. I don't do it every weekend. Like I said, I'm usually able to find somewhere to park, but I've done that. I used to do it more frequently when I first started because, it's just, I always knew it. I didn't know how to navigate it as well. But it was the easiest thing to do when I was new, especially trying to ride the clock out to get as far as I could. So that's an option. And I didn't tell you this, but if you have to, I do it a lot. But if you have to, then maybe the ramp, if it's late and there's a lot of space on the ramp, then maybe you want to stay on the ramp or stop on the ramp before you go to the truck stop and then walk to the truck stop and see if there's parking. Maybe, I don't know. This is something you got to figure out and fill out. Or just put it this way. If your time is running out, then maybe that's the process you want to take. If you got plenty of time, just drive to the truck stop, see if there's space. And because if it's not, then you can leave and try to find another. But if it's late and you're about to run out of time on your clock and the space on the shoulder, that's the option. I didn't tell you that. In some states, you can't now. In some states, you see a no parking sign, no parking sign is it. But other places, there will be plenty of space. North Carolina is real good for letting you park on the ramp. They don't be tripping. There's a couple of ramps, a couple of places where they be tripping, a couple of places where they got signs. But overall, Carolina is great. So yeah, that's it. And then you make it to the truck stop. Of course, whenever you get fuel, you usually get credit for a shower. Make sure you get the rewards cards all the time. Always use them. Showers build up after you get a certain amount, then they're free every day. If you don't pass that amount, then you can only get them free with a shower. Then that's a few days, like a week or something like that, a dispatcher. And that's pretty much it. A lot of places you'll have the same contact as a dispatcher. Some places you might have 2 or 3 different dispatchers and it alternates. In other places, you might just have a different dispatcher every day. You might have a group of dispatchers that handles a group of drivers, So that could vary from company to company. But at most companies, I think they'll just have you dealing with the same dispatcher every day or the same couple of dispatchers every day. What else? As far as breakdowns and whatnot, when you're out there, then your company driver, only thing you do is you either send a code on the equipment they call Qualcomm. You either send a code on the Qualcomm or whatever communication they have, or you call them and then you tell them about the issue you're having with the truck. They'll probably find the shop and tell you where to go. Or if they got to come out there, they'll arrange all of that. Of course, you don't have to pay for none of that as the company's driver. There's a bunk in the back if you're over the road, so that's where you'll stay. Go get a hotel. Unless you're in some kind of type of specialized trucking outfit, they're not paying for a hotel. And by the way, as a new driver, one of the things that pitfalls that new drivers fall into is now you got a solid job, making money, you start spending and buying stuff, getting a place to stay, getting the car, I would not do that because you're not even going to be home. You're just throwing away money. You could be stacking that money, setting it aside, have an emergency fund if you don't have one, or stacking up to invest, pay off your bills, build up your credit, and stack money so that you can invest. Like in a year's time or so, maybe you decide you want to buy a truck. You got the money there to do it. Do not finance it at a company. Go to the lot and get it. Or maybe you want to buy some property. Get you a 3-2, something with extra space, or the first ones, just get a 3-2 or something like that. Hey, you might want to rent it out. Might even want to get something that needs to be rehabbed so you can get it way, way, way under book value and then do the rehab, and then you still have equity in the property. But that's things to consider. But at least consider getting you a property, renting it out while you're still driving. And then the next year, 2 years later, get you another property or rent that out. And maybe you can have enough rental income by the time you finish driving within 10 years or whenever you decide. So, and you have that income coming in and you can get your last property, stay there or whatever you're going to do. But the one thing I want you guys to do, I know I'm going far beyond dispatching now, is to consider how long you want to stay out here. Because if you don't, you can end up going 5 years, 10 years. Next thing you know, you look up 15 years, especially if you like it. That's easy to happen. If you like it, then, and that's not a problem in and of itself. But if there are other things that you wanted to do, like travel, kids, wife, family, driving and over the road means you're not there and not doing any of that. You see what I'm saying? So think about it. what are the other things I want to do with my life, you know, what's on my bucket list. And so if you do that, now you can map things out. You can say, all right, well, I want to drive for 10 years. And at the 10th year, I want my situation to be such that I can transition out. I have this amount of money left, or I'll have this much amount of recurring income coming in. I have my passport. I have all of this stuff situated so I can make the transition and do the other phase. You know, but that's why I say to think about it, because if you don't take any of that into account and you just focus on the day-to-day and running and driving, man, I usually go day after day, not saying much. So talking like this is tickling in my throat. No home. Let's see, what else? Any questions? That's all I can think of. And I need to go get my shower and I'll holler at y'all later. Peace. Come back and see me again. Put in the comments what you want me to make a video about, all right?